How are you?
Good morning, His Excellency President Ramaphosa, His Excellency President Tshisekedi, honorable ministers, deputy ministers, senior officials, captains of the industry who are here. You're all welcome here. Today we'll listen to the two presidents, but I'm going to call my president. My president, President Ramaphosa, is the President of the Republic of South Africa. He has won the second term in the ANC. He is now the President of the ANC and the President of the Republic. We're very proud of that. I can see no others don't want us to say that. He is the President of the ANC and the President of the Republic of South Africa. We love that. President, you are steering the country through a very difficult period from COVID-19 to load shedding, everything difficult is in your presidency. So we're calling you to take the stage and talk to the Investing in African Mining Indaba 2023. President.
Thank you. Let's be seated, please. Program Director, Ms. Nkadimeng, Your Excellency, President Felix Tshisekedi Chilombo, President of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, our sister country in the South African Development Community, Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, Minister Gwede Mantashe, who is also the national chairperson of the governing party, newly re-elected. He was standing here being boastful of having a president who is the president of the republic and president of the governing party. So I can too be boastful that I have a national chairperson who always tries to guide the meetings of the ANC and sometimes misguide them. Ministers and deputy ministers from both South Africa and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and indeed from other countries that are also represented at this conference. The chairman of the Investing in Africa Mining Indaba, Mr. Frans Baleni, representatives of industry and in fact leaders of industry, the mining industry and other related industries, leaders of labor, leaders of civil society, and various other organizations, academic and other related organizations or institutions that are here. Distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a wonderful pleasure for me to be back here at this forum, but today it's a particularly great pleasure for me to welcome my brother and friend, President Tshisekedi, who is gracing this conference for the very first time. The past few years, he's been saying he will attend, but this time when I told him that there would be 9,000 people that really grabbed his attention. He got so excited, and he says, "I'm coming." And he has come because of your great numbers attending this conference. Let's give him a round of applause and welcome him. The investing in African Mining Indaba has become one of the most important platforms for the advancement and development of this vital industry, mining. Mining, as we all know, has been the bedrock of African economies for millennia, and it continues to play a vital role in the development, in the industrialization, and the growth of many economies across the continent. In the global drive towards sustainability, the mining sector has a particularly important role that it plays, requiring it to be responsible, to be agile, and to be innovative as well. And that is why I got pleased to hear that there are quite a number of academics who are also here, researchers who are here, and people who have been looking at various aspects of the mining industry, and they will be able to share their wisdom, their new ideas of how this industry can continue contributing to the growth of our economies. For South Africa, mining continues to be an essential part of our economy, as it has been from time immemorial, when copper and diamonds and later coal and then gold were discovered. The mining sector is an important contributor to the growth of our economy, but also to job creation and retention, accounting for close on to 500,000 direct jobs and close on to 1 million indirect jobs. There was a time in its heyday when the mining industry in our country employed close on to 1 million direct jobs and many more indirectly. Mining revenues enable government to provide services to the citizens of our country and drive a concerted program of economic reconstruction and recovery, particularly in the wake of COVID-19. As we have heard, mining production in South Africa last year reached a record high of 1.18 trillion rand, boosting our GDP, our exports and revenues. Despite this achievement, we are far from realizing the full potential of our mining industry. We are determined, however, to remove all in November 2022, largely due to this is indicative of the challenges we need to confront, but also overcome. In addition to the energy crisis that we are going through now and problems with our ports, our rail operations, the outlook for the year ahead has been dampened by the concerns about safety and security, incidents such as illegal mining, and the pace of our structural reform program. These are precisely the issues that government is working on. These are precisely the issues that are top of mind as government pulls out all stops to address these issues. We do so because we have a responsibility as government, but acting together with our other key players who are labor, who are business and communities, we do need to ensure that our mining industry is able to grow, to become more globally competitive, and to be a pioneer in the global drive towards sustainable development. To realize these objectives, there are a number of things that we obviously have to do. Firstly, we need to achieve a secure supply of electricity, because mining, as indeed many other industries, cannot function without electricity. Secondly, we need to accelerate economic reforms to improve the operating environment. Thirdly, we need to tackle illegal mining and damage to infrastructure, as well as other forms of criminality. And fourthly, we need to improve the regulatory environment that we have put in place. The electricity crisis on its own has had a huge impact on the mining industry, as it has had on other industries. 6 months ago, we announced a National Energy Action Plan to improve the performance of our existing power stations and to add new generation capacity to the grid as quickly as possible. Eskom, our electricity generation and transmission and distribution company, has assembled experienced technical teams to improve performance and to recover capacity at power stations, with an initial focus on the 6 least reliable stations. That work is underway right now, and I get continuous reports of precisely what progress is being made. Through a regional power pool agreement, we have already imported 300 megawatts of capacity from neighboring countries and are working to increase this by an additional 1,000. The successful renewable program is being strengthened and implemented. In the last 6 months, we have signed agreements for 25 projects representing 2,800 megawatts of new energy. Now, these projects will soon be proceeding to construction, and I have been to some of the construction sites, as I have been to our existing coal-fired power stations. We are facilitating investment in new generation capacity by private producers, by, amongst other things, removing the licensing threshold for embedded generation projects. Minister Mantashe, following intensive discussions, was able, through his department, to lift the threshold, and that has led to a great deal of activity in the generation side of the industry. Eskom is looking to purchase surplus power from companies with available generation capacity. The mining sector has been making significant moves itself towards generating its own electricity. And I'm told that there are a few companies that have already started doing so and are already demonstrating a great deal of success. According to the Minerals Council of South Africa, since the licensing threshold was lifted, approximately 89 embedded power generation projects have been developed with a focus on renewable solutions like solar, wind, and battery storage. Not only will these projects support mining operations themselves and bring down operation costs, but they will also add much-needed power to the country's overall supply and support South Africa's decarbonization process. Mining is leading the way in developing new energy technologies. And this is what I am particularly pleased with, because mining historically has really been a reservoir of creativity, of innovation, and of finding solutions to what may have been intractable problems. Last year, I had the occasion and the privilege to attend the launch by Anglo-American of the world's largest hydrogen-powered mine haul truck in our Limpopo province. Anglo-American is developing an entire hydrogen ecosystem to support its local operations. And the launch of the new-gen truck was the first project for the Green Hydrogen Valley that we hope to develop from Limpopo to KwaZulu-Natal as well. South Africa has abundant renewable energy resources and about 75% of the world's platinum resources, which puts us in a favorable position to develop such technologies. The second part of our efforts to develop the mining industry is to accelerate economic reforms to improve the operating environment. We have been driving a range of structural reforms through an entity in the presidency called Operation Vulindlela, where the presidency and the treasury of our country cooperate, and they've been cooperating to good effect. This partnership between the presidency and treasury has proven to be a great boon to many departments in government. The Department of Mineral and Energy and other departments also participate in this. As part of streamlining regulatory processes, we are reducing the time frames for environmental authorizations, exempting energy projects from environmental authorizations for certain activities, and speeding up the process of registering new projects and grid connection approvals. As many of you will know, things tend to move rather slowly at a glacial pace in government. This initiative has added impetus, it has added agility, and it has added much shorter time frames. And this is something that we would like the industry to appreciate and at times to join us as we push these reforms forward, because this is for the common good of all of us. And this is something that you should all applaud if you never applaud anything at all. Now, a critical area of reform is in logistics, which is a huge problem for the mining industry. By way of example, in 2022, coal exports through our coal terminal in Richards Bay dropped to about 50 million tons, the worst performance since 1993. It is estimated that infrastructure inefficiencies have resulted in a 15% decline in mineral sales. Now, this concerns us. We therefore welcome the partnership announced late last year between the Minerals Council of South Africa and Transnet, our logistics and freight company, to stabilize and to restore operational performance of our rail lines and ports. The reforms we announced to improve the state of freight and rail are moving ahead. One of these, opening key routes to third-party operators, will bring much-needed investment for upgrading as well as maintenance and rehabilitation. This is our government demonstrating that it is open to work with the private sector, it is open to cooperate with the private sector so that we can achieve great results. A new And this is meant because we know that there is great strength and there's great innovation in cooperating with the private sector. Sometimes governments prefer to do things on their own. But faced with this type of crisis, we have seen that it is best to work with those who have a common interest with us. So in this case, the private sector, the workers, communities, and government have a common interest to make this work. And that is why we've often said we want the private sector not to feel shy, not to stand back, but more importantly, not to stand on the rooftops and just criticize. We want them to get into the ring so that we work together to solve our problems. And we are not saying you should not be critical, but we are saying stop moaning. We're saying to Labour, stop moaning as well. Get into the ring with us. Let us find solutions for the common good of our country. And by the response I am seeing amongst you, I know that indeed you are willing and prepared to be our partners. And I applaud you for that, and thank you very much. A new policy framework for rail sets out actions to modernize the rail network, to enable, and listen to this, to enable private investment, to improve regulation, to restore rail as a competitive mode of both freight and commuter transport. Similar efforts are underway to enable private investment in our ports and certain container corridors. The third area of focus is to tackle illegal mining and the damage that is being wrought to our infrastructure. The South African Police Service has established multidisciplinary economic infrastructure task teams that are operational in 20 identified hotspots. In the last 6 months, these teams have conducted around hundreds of operations and made a significant number of arrests. Transnet has developed partnerships with the industry as well as the private security sector to address cable theft and vandalism on the freight rail network through advanced technologies and additional security personnel. As industry, law enforcement agencies and government departments, we will deepen our cooperation to stamp out illegal mining and other acts of economic sabotage. The fourth area of work is to improve the regulatory environment. We will continue working with the industry on reducing backlogs in prospecting and mining applications. I understand that over the past 18 months, we've reduced the backlog of applications by 42%, and plans are in place to eliminate the backlog in the short to medium term. The Department of Mineral and Energy has indicated that the process for procuring an off-the-shelf cadastral system, which can be customized to South Africa's needs, is underway. And in fact, they inform me that it's almost a done deal. It's going to happen soon. That is going to be a great advantage to yourselves. Now, this is essential for the operation of a modern mining rights administration system, which in turn is vital for the growth of the industry. And I'm informed that in putting this together, our mining industry, our Department of Mineral Resources and Energy has looked at other precedents in other countries and have learned a lot of lessons. So what you will be getting will be a modern system, a system that has been tested in other locales, and it's a system that is meant to benefit our mining industry. The business operating environment for a sector that is the lifeblood of our economy and that of the continent. South Africa is home to some of the most experienced miners in the world with unparalleled expertise, unparalleled knowledge, and the capacity for innovation, as I've been saying. Just as we look to attract investment in mining to grow our economy and create jobs, investors will find South Africa continues to be an attractive destination for miners and associated sectors. This does not mean that we haven't had our own challenges, and some of these challenges would have made some of you to stop, to stand back for a while, and to ask ourselves whether we would be able to create an environment and do so sustainably, an environment that will enable you to invest your money. I'm able to say, with the processes that we have put in place and the processes that are underway, we are creating and will continue to create an environment and an ecosystem that will enable miners, investors to invest in our country. This is particularly the case for companies looking for leverage, to leverage the opportunities presented by the global green energy transition and the African Continental Free Trade Area. Just as there can be no development without mining, mining must be at the forefront of social development. The implementation of the social and labor plans must be accelerated, and not only accelerated, but they must be embraced. They must also be improved and implemented. These plans have an important contribution to make to the provision of the social needs of our people, particularly those communities that live around mining operations. Gone are the days where a mining operation or company will just come and plant its equipment and eke out the resources and send them off and be gone. Those days are long gone. Companies must now need to immerse themselves in the life of the communities where they invest. They need to look at their various other needs. Gone are the days where a company which is well endowed in resources will be able to transport water from a dam many kilometers away and have the dam just deposit the water into its own operations and not make sure or even think about water resources for the community nearby. Gone are those days. When the mine has water, the community must have water. Those are the things that we should look at. When the mine has a roads network, the community must also have road networks. And when there's hospital, yes, on the mine, make sure that the health needs of the communities out there, and quite often these mining deposits are found right in deep jungle areas. Companies must become global citizens. They must become responsible citizens. They must work with all role players, government and all, to ensure that the needs not only of the shareholders, but the needs of the workers, the needs of the communities are also looked after. And in the end, the environmental needs are also taken care of. This is a challenging time for mining, both in South Africa and across the continent. However, we have the means to overcome our difficulties and forge a brighter future for the industry. As the world changes, mining is changing with it, and the industry stands ready and must stand ready to seize the opportunities that the future presents. A great future is beckoning, a future which is pregnant with a great deal of new innovations, new opportunities, hydrogen economy, fuel cells, and all of these come from mining. So you are a sector that has always led. Manufacturing always takes its cue from you as a sector. The food industry always takes its cue from you as a sector. So you need, as the mining industry, to see yourselves as the center of the world, a center that must support all other sectors. So I wish you all the best for another successful investing in African Mining Indaba that places the mining industry firmly at the forefront of our beloved continent's growth. And it is with this that I'm really delighted that President Felix Tshisekedi is here, president of a great mining country, a country that South Africa cooperates with on many fronts. And it is with this that I show my delight to be sharing the stage with him, talking about this great mining industry, an industry that will lead to prosperity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Cyril Ramaphosa. I want to take the time to obviously thank you from the team as well for honoring again and being here at the mining industry.